call the March 8th, 2016 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We have Pastor Don Smith from Rural Retreat United Baptist Church to do our invocation. If everyone would please rise and remain standing for the pledge after the invocation.
O God, who governs the universe, grant that we who have gathered together in this time may mirror your governance and reflect your wisdom, your power, and your compassion as we seek to do right by those whom we have been charged to govern. We pray this evening that you might also grant your support and your encouragement, your hope and your protection to those who each day put their lives on the line, who sacrifice of their time, who sacrifice of their family time, those who sacrifice of their efforts each and every day, that we might make our community and our county a better place to live. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome everyone tonight. We'll get right into our agenda. We have citizens' time. We have Patsy Ramsey from Max Meadows. Ms. Ramsey, please state your name and your address, please.
Patsy Ramsey, Max Meadows, Virginia. Good evening, everyone. I have a complaint which has been ongoing for about 18 years since I moved where I live now, 184 Horseshoe Drive. And the complaint is that I have a cedar log, double-wide home, and like I'm in the middle of an eyesore behind me and an eyesore in front of me. And I'm really tired of it because everybody that owns land, I think, should clean up their own property. And another thing, I have 3 grandchildren, and right now I am plagued with rats that has cut through my home and coming in my home, and that's kind of bad. So that's what my complaint is. The property behind me belongs to Pamela Warsaw. The property in front of me, it belongs to James Adams. Now, Mr. Adams has done some, might as well say renovating, but the house behind me, it's dilapidated, and it's been going down for years and years. And it needs to be cleaned up. And when my husband was living, he had paid money to have the land directly behind us cleaned. But he's been deceased 7 years. And down through the years, that has even grown up. So it really wasn't no purpose whatsoever by paying money to have it cleaned. So I need that property cleaned. The property, the real estate, to the point that back taxes, it just needs to be cleaned.
Okay. We'll look into it, Ms. Ramsey. We'll look into it, Ms. Ramsey.
Okay.
Okay, next, John Paul Jones from Max Meadows. Please state your name and your address, please.
My name's John Paul Jones. I live at 184 Horseshoe Drive in Max Meadows, Virginia. And I come before you today to allude to what she just had talked to you about. Growing up as a child in Max Meadows, long time ago, it was a pretty decent community. Everyone kind of sort of took care of their belongings and their real estate, and it's began to in an example became very overwhelming and unruly. As she said that she's had some trouble with rats and things of that sort, just because of the surroundings. You know, everywhere you look around her home, there is, as I would say, a need for cleaning up or a need for some help. So, as that is a problem, there needs to be something, because it's a community, not, only for her home, but, is people wanting to come in that facility, or in that vicinity. It is a place, it's somewhere that, futurely could be, invested in, and some more people could, buy houses, but at the current state it is in, it looks, very run down and not a place that's pleasing to someone that's looking to buy something or looking to be in that area. So, it would be, a very good emphasis for Wythe County to actually, make a action to help all around, in Max Meadows, because it's a, it's a community that's took a decrease, that is, good people, good hardworking people that need, stability, and they need, everyone working together to make a wonderful community. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. That's everyone that was signed up on the list. Anybody have anything else or would like to address the board at this time? Hearing none, I'll close citizens' time. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting, February the 23rd, 2016. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of February 23rd. Is there any corrections or changes to be made? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Next item on the agenda is payment of invoices. I entertain a motion to pay the invoices.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second to pay the invoices. Is there any invoice any board member would like to discuss or have any questions about? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Moving right along, old business. Mr. Dalton, is there anything under old business? Okay. New business, Building and Grounds Committee.
We had two meetings, Building and Grounds discussed, Martha helped me. We discussed several items, including surplus property. This ordinance proposal out of that committee, wasn't it? We have an ordinance proposal that I see is going to come up later, I think.
Well, that's, now it's the Building and Grounds Committee met
Well-
on March and recommended holding a public hearing.
Well, do we have to discuss it here before we have a public hearing, don't we?
Typically, the issue is we make the motion a second, then we open it up for discussion.
And
Well, it's coming from committee, and passed the committee, so it doesn't need a second, so I guess we have a motion.
So, ordinance number 26-01, property maintenance ordinance of Wythe County, Virginia, coming from the Building and Grounds Committee as a recommendation. So it doesn't need a second. I'll open the floor up for discussions.
Well, I'd like to give you a little bit of history. Some of it, it relates to the subject we just heard from the citizens vote. But we had Mr. Spraker in and looked at what's covered by the code, and it seemed to be more restrictive and not what we were really looking for, and was pretty far-reaching. So out of the committee, it seemed like that an ordinance would be local and would be straightforward, not have a lot of side issues and a lot of broadness that we didn't feel like we really need. We've got two other committee members here. I'd invite them to speak if they have anything to add. It basically is about burned out, rundown houses that it really impacts what Wythe County looks like to people that are coming here for economic development. Sometimes, I believe they're always here looking before we know they're here. And if we look like we don't care about where we live and how property values are affected by people that own in the proximity, overall would be countywide, obviously, and it would be enforced by the county ordinance officer, just like the other county ordinances are.
Coy, do you have anything to add from Building and Grounds?
After reading it a little more closely than what I had, I was totally against it until I read it. I'm a little more lenient for it now. But I really want to go over it again.
Charlie?
I think after the committee made a few changes, I'm more for it. I think it would help the county.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have two questions. I don't know exactly what Mr. Hale was referring to when he said the building inspector and the code was more restrictive. I mean, do we have violations out there?
You don't have time to hear them all. But it's not adopted. It's not part of the code. Is that right, Tim? Until we adopt that.
So we haven't adopted that section. Okay, I got that. All right, we've discussed that before.
The payments portion of the building code allows inspection of rental property, a lot of places, things that we felt intrusive on. And quite frankly, didn't have enough personnel to do.
The second question is, one of the things that when this came up before, I mean, from what I saw, it's exactly the same ordinance with two exceptions. It's removed the idea of inoperable cars and and building material type things, but cars were one of the big emphasis last time. I just wondered, I mean, was there a reason for changing it in that way?
Well, that was the main opposition to the ordinance last time, was vehicles.
If you remember the public hearings before, we heard everything from they were lifetime investments to have junk cars to Coy just states that he loves them, so that's why he's supporting it. We took cars out, and hopefully everybody else will too.
Well, I mean, now if I read it right, you're saying you took cars out. You took them out as long as they're not within 500 feet of the right-of-way of a public highway or street, right? Is that the way I read it?
No, I don't think.
There's already a state law that says that you cannot have them within 1,000 feet of a main road and 500 feet of secondary road. They call it primary road, is the way I read it.
I'm not qualified to answer that because
Maybe Mr. Farling can answer that question.
I don't know the answer to that question today. I know it came up before with the one property on Route 52 by the campground. You know, that's a secondary highway, and you've got a bunch of cars up there. People complained about that before. I don't remember if VDOT looked at that with that code section. I don't remember what VDOT's response was to that. I thought there was some discussion about VDOT enforcing that. But I don't recall what happened with that.
But main purpose of what we're trying to do now with the ordinance is mainly trash and burnout and rundown dwellings. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got a multitude of problems. One is in these bank repossessions and when people abandon a house. We've had many complaints of trash. And you go to try to enforce an ordinance that's not there, and then, well, the banks took it over or a finance companies took it, the people are gone, but mountains of trash is still there. That's one scenario. The other one is that down on the Lee Highway end of Locust Hill Road, there's a house that's been burnt out down there for years and years, 15 years or more? And nothing's ever been done to it, just a hulk standing there. And I think it looks bad for the county. I can't imagine that people care, and we need an ordinance to clean them up. And if it comes to the point that the county has to do that, there's a very good remedy. You get a contractor in there and clean it up, or however you clean it up, and put a judgment against the property for recovery, or better remedies than that, really.
Mr.
I'm
Dodd?
not the county attorney, but Mr. Horny, I think you're right. Since we struck the inoperable, I don't even think we need section B in there because we're not governing anything inoperable or construction debris. So why do we need to exempt it?
Right.
So I think you
So
could
just
strike
take that out.
Yeah.
The inoperable vehicle was in that 2A above with the definitions, and it had a thing, the definition of inoperable vehicle, and all those were struck out in your section 3 that talks about what's not permitted, basically. Inoperable vehicles came out of that. So that 4B, that little part about inoperable vehicles is what makes it confusing, and that should just be struck.
And I will take full responsibility for that because the instructions I had was to take everything about inoperable, and obviously I missed a section.
While we're in
So what you're saying then is if somebody's got a old vehicle and it's sitting right on the line or right close to 10 foot off the line, it's not going to be, they're not going to have to move it. They don't have to get it out. Okay.
State law will cover that.
Well, I mean, state law won't govern it if it's 500 foot or 1,000 off the right of way. But, okay.
while we're in discussion,
I guess I would, if.
I mean, I don't have a problem with leaving it in there. I was just clarifying.
After you made that comment, it just seems logical to take it out because the other section is not there, so why even discuss it? Because obviously, if you read it, somebody would say, well, that's just a means for them to regulate those issues. That was not the intent of what the committee discussed.
in Ms. Ramsey's case, the property across the street, I think, is owned by two people. And with the weather we've had this winter, it's obvious it's all in the floodplain. It looks like it's in Louisiana. There's water up to the house. We've got a similar complaint from another group in Max Meadows about swampy area and the new problem with a new mosquito. But you used to do some spraying, and we may be back there again, that we gonna have to do something about that floodplain area that from the debris and undergrowth of honeysuckle and other brush, the water's just not draining, and I don't know that it can drain. You're probably more aware of that than I am from the work down there, but it's a bad situation. The rat thing is real. That area could be a lot better, but it's not the only one. This is not a clean up Max Meadows thing. It's enough of it all over the county to deal with it.
If someone owns a mobile home park and tenants leave and abandon the trailer, the expense falls, under this, the expense falls to the property owner, the mobile home park owner. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, but it's also, that portion's also addressed in the, I don't know if we call it the mobile home ordinance, but we've got an ordinance that deals with mobile home parks. The property owner is currently responsible for abandoning. I'll just leave it at abandoned trailers in the park.
But I mean, if somebody owns one, let's say that they, I don't know, 30 units and a couple of people just abandon a couple old trailers, if the person who owns the mobile home park would be financially responsible for the cleanup. Is that not right according to what I've read here?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
There's a method for them to get the title through the DMV for abandoned mobile homes. It's a noticing process that takes a couple months to make that happen, but they can get the title in their name and then demolish it or whatever they want to do with it.
And the violation is based on a subjective evaluation. I mean, it's not objective evaluation. I mean, the violation is left up to the litter officer, or in this case it would be Mr. Dunford, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure that we shouldn't lay this over for a while and let's really discuss this, because when you put that here to the people for a public hearing, we need to know what we're going to do. What's what?
Yes, I was getting ready to suggest that, Coy, that I won't be here on the 22nd, the 22nd day meeting. But if y'all want to have a meeting to discuss that and then set a public hearing for May the 10th.
Yeah, that should give us plenty of time.
Would that be enough time to?
That's fine, so that we can have a little agenda prepared for the discussion. If everybody would send their comments in of what part they want discussed, either in what, I guess, the reasoning or the issues with the park, that how not only could either be stricken or changed to improve it.
Do we need action to go forward with it, or is this just a discussion? We've got a motion on the
You've got a
floor.
motion on the table. I guess by the rules of procedure, you can either vote that up or down, or somebody make a substitute motion. Maybe Coy made that substitute motion.
I will make it motion.
That we have a work session on it.
And then bring it back up on the 22nd to set the public hearing after the work session. If it,
I'm not against it.
okay, do I have a second on Coy's motion?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving right along to ordinance 93-4, the solid waste, I think it's what it's called. Trash collection and recycling center ordinance. Mr. Dalton?
Well, as you can see, we did the 93 ordinance and some amendments over the years. The reason I put this in is we've been getting several comments from citizens and others at the convenience centers. And what I'd like to do is get this assigned to some committee that we can go through this and get this ordinance revised so that it's clarified between our current contract with our person that's running the convenience centers and what the ordinance says, so that we can post that out there at the website and everybody knows what you can bring and what you can't bring, and when you can bring it, and just get everything in alignment so that there's not differences between what the convenience center operators are saying and what our ordinance is.
Okay, I'll send it down to the Building and Grounds Committee for them to go over it and come up at the next meeting or subsequent meeting.
And with that, we will have the
revisions.
contractors with our solid waste recycling center guy, and also there's a another issue, the ordinance that deals with this also. We'll have all three of those together so that we can go through them and get them aligned with the stars so that we don't have any confusion, and then educate the public on what's going on.
Okay. Anything else on that subject, Mr. Dodd? Okay. Wythe County Treasurer's turnover audit report. We need to accept. I entertain a motion to accept the audit.
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 Yeah.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Next item, the engineering permit. Mr. Dalton.
When we graded, or the JIDA graded lot 24, Progress Park, one of the issues, there was several feet of wetland streams. Corps of Engineers came back and asked us to permit the whole park instead of lot 24. Well, we ended up with JIDA, we owned the property, so we signed the agreement with DEQ. What this easement is in Christiansburg, where the work was done, that we paid, the JIDA paid Branch. They want to modify this permit. And it's spelled out in this agreement. One of the things, I guess, I'd like to say is that while we agree to this, we need to come up with an agreement that we don't need to be going to Christiansburg to maintain a permit. We paid the JIDA and Branch. And what I'd ask from this is that we develop a memorandum of agreement between us and the town of Christiansburg that relieves us of all that responsibility. We can't get rid of our permit with the Corps, but we can enter a memorandum of agreement that Christiansburg accepts all the responsibility of maintaining that without us going back and forth to another town to try to accomplish that. I've talked to the JIDA previous director, and he thought when we did this that we just paid a lump sum fee and we were finished with it. But the permit is actually in our name, and we need a memorandum of agreement. I'd ask the board to request the county attorney to draft an agreement, a memorandum of understanding or agreement with the town so that we can accomplish this. We don't want to hold them up, but we sure don't want to be going to Christiansburg and working in the stream beds and place.
Okay. I entertain a motion to give the county attorney authority to draft that the agreement between us and Christiansburg.
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion.
Have a second? Have a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, abstract of votes on March the 1st, 2016 primary.
Yeah, the results from both the Democrat presidential primary and also the Republican primary.
We just need a motion to accept these or approve them or
They just have, you
They
can
just have to.
accept them, it just has to be in the minutes they were presented.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move we accept them if we need
Okay.
to.
Have
I'll
a second?
I'll second
Okay, have a motion and a second to accept the results of the primary. Mr. Dalton, is this higher than what we normally have for primaries?
Actually, this was the biggest turnout we've had for a primary since I've been here. But I will let you, there are 2 more elections yet to go in this fiscal year. One is the town council elections that the towns will completely either pay for or reimburse us for. If they reimburse us, we're going to have to ask the board to appropriate the money that they pay for those 2 elections. And then there's another primary out there for the U.S. House of Representatives on the Republican side, I
Yep.
believe. Which will probably cost a lot of money per vote.
And as far as I know, we've hadn't had any trouble with the new voting machines.
I haven't had any problem that I know of. Everybody that worked on them got sick, but that's.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Whipple Farmers Market.
You have a public notice for the proposed funding of the farmer's market from USDA. If you have any comments, let us know. We'll supply those prior to the March something date there.
Okay.
The 17th. We have 15 days from the day we receive.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is Jackson 52 School Water, Jackson School Water Project.
As we've talked in the water committee a long time, looks like that we can start making connections along Old 52 there. We're still trying to work out a boring arrangement with the contractor, to get under Route 52 twice.
Okay. Any questions?
No, just funny, he said, a boring arrangement. I'd rather go with an exciting one, but that's okay.
Course of order.
Okay, set a public hearing date for disposal of surplus property. What property are we talking about surplusing, Mr. Dalton?
Property in Progress Park that we may be transferring to JIDA or others. I would say in our advertisement that we identify all kinds of property that we have out there. Just get it done this, I think it's annually that we're supposed to be doing that. We're going to declare surplus property. So if we say Progress Park property and others, we identify and notice.
You can't have a public hearing just to sell property or transfer property. So The issue becomes when we sell land in Progress Park, we're supposed to have a public hearing to sell the land. The exemption for that is if we transfer land to JIDA. You don't have to have a public hearing to do that. This is more of a precautionary thing in case we transfer land directly to a buyer. And we've advertised that we may be selling this land.
Okay.
I don't know if the surplus is the right word versus we might potentially sell some land at some point.
Okay. We set the public hearing for April the 12th. Okay. Okay. Next item on the agenda is closed meeting. I entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors convene a closed meeting to discuss the following. Is permitted by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1, personnel matter, and also is permitted by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A7, consultation with legal counsel.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are now in closed session.
Supervisors has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3212 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors that such a meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, and considered by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors.
Okay, do I have a second on certifying the resolution?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Okay, Mr. Dalton, is there any other business coming before the board at this time?
Yes, sir. Based upon our AREC meeting last week, there's some things such as logo design and that they need to accomplish. I would like to take part of the money tourism, about $5,000. Pay for some of those deals.
Okay.
Pay them directly from the tourism, if they do their logo design, which is holding up the whole sign thing, et cetera. So I'd ask that we provide up to $5,000 out of the tourism and put it in $43,100 for professional services.
Okay, recommendation from the county administrator to amend and appropriate $5,000. No, not amend
We're
it.
just gonna move it around
Move it.
inside the budget.
Okay.
It's- Actually, I have the authority to do it, but that was way out of the scope of what we approved in the line item budget, so I'm asking for permission.
Permission to do that. I have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move the $5,000. Any discussion?
I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's just starting down a, slippery slope.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horning?
Aye. Aye.
No.
Aye. Motion passes 6-1. Do I have any other motions? I have a motion to authorize Mr. Paulding to perform the work for the Expo Center on authorizing him.
I think the proclamation is authorizing the county attorney to prepare all the documents for the board for the ARES.
Make that motion.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Dalton, is anything else to come before the board at this time? I will say that they're having a meeting at the Historical Society Thursday night about the Stephen S. Austin's monument. Ms. Kegley told me about it. I'm going to try to attend, and if anybody else would like to attend, I think Jeremy sent a news release out this afternoon. Huh? It's at 7 o'clock Thursday night. So,
RECA.
we do, okay. Might not get to that meeting then, but, they were, she was talking about they were looking, to clean up the place and worrying about the no parking signs. So, where is that? Are we talking to Game and Inland Fishery about that?
They have asked that we prepare what kind of language that we would like to sign, that they would consider.
We had on our agenda when we go to Richmond anyway. I really wish somebody from the county would go to that meeting. I'm not gonna be here, I don't think you say Thursday night. I'll go, I should be back.
It's at 7 o'clock at, you know where their building's at up there.
I contacted Dalton about trying to get a club, maybe it's a club or clubs. Garden Club was mentioned to beautify it a little bit. The Roofing Club, Austinville, or Leadmines Roofing Club is claiming geriatric conditions won't allow them to do that. But
I think what's happened is Jeremy has put together a group of different people that have indicated they will help with that. Request some flower money and some repair money in the budget this year to make that happen. I think he's got some volunteers lined up to work on it.
And Ms. Kegley's in contact with some people in Texas that is getting a flag. It's flew over the Capitol, and they're sending, and they may have a delegation coming to present it or something. So I guess she'll let us know
well,
if that
one
happens.
of the things behind that, Tim, the Houston Memorial up in Rockbridge County was funded by the Kiwanis Club in Houston, not by the Highway Department. That oblique up there and the plaque and everything was paid for by the Kiwanis Club, so she might be on the right track there that Texas could send some money with her.
The gentleman that donated some money before has passed away, and right here recently. And I think she was going to get in contact with his wife, but she was gonna wait a few weeks before she did that. So, but anyway, that meeting is Thursday night.
Before we move off of that, what would it be possible for Jeremy, somebody to write a letter to the city council and the State Historical Society of Texas, which is very active and has a big budget, by the way, informing them what we've done and letting them know about it. As a county outreach, just a letter, this is what's happening, wanted to inform you. If you'd like to be part of it, please send check. There might be a whole lot more money than you think, Tim, to do that work over there.
Well, there's actually a Stephen F. Austin Foundation in Brazoria County, supposedly where he took all those settlers conditions. I think last time they came, they chartered a big bus. It was a pretty sizable group. So we will write those letters.
Okay. And Mr. Dalton, would you get in touch with the New River Regional Jail and see if their work crew is coming out anytime soon, see if we can, till our van gets here and we get our own crew back working to see if we can get some of the trash picked up.
You got any specific areas? Just
Well, Route
30,
50, Route 52 out towards the green boxes. I mean, the convenience center.
Yeah, I had calls from Anderson Road and Hope Road.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying Chapman Road. I mean, I don't know why people want to go by and just throw out trash on the side of the road. I mean, right there at the barn, at the driveway. I mean, they just have thrown boxes and everything else out. It's piling up. VDOT did get the garage door off the side of the road that they threw, somebody lost between my house and the barn. Somebody got it. I reckon it was VDOT, but,
As you list there, the horseshoe part of horseshoe, somebody's thrown down 3 or 4 garbage bags down there, and the dogs that took care of those.
Carter's Park area.
No, in Horseshoe, at Horseshoe Drive.
Max Meadows.
Max Meadows. You know where it's gravel down there?
Mm-hmm.
Right before you get to the railroad crossing. So I guess it was somebody irritating. It was out of sight, so they stopped to do it all.
And we will be posting after Thursday, the school board budget out there. They're going to adopt this Thursday, I guess. This Thursday, Coy, the school board meeting, this Thursday.
Mhm. Okay, Mr. Dalton, do you have anything else?
No, just look that budget, and hope and pray.
I've been going over it, and it's a long 557 pages. I see a lot of departments that cut their budget, and a lot of has added a lot. So, and a lot of requests from outside people. Anyway, anybody else have anything?
Mr. Chairman, one thing we normally do, and I guess maybe it could wait till next meeting to do it, but one of the things that we always do is, or I'd like to make the motion that we give the county employees Good Friday off. We've been doing that for the past several years, and I'd like to.
You make that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You just saved me a vacation day, Mr.
Wait a minute, let's redo that, everybody except for Salil.
Thank you, Dr. Housen. Anything else? Hearing none, I'll declare us adjourned.